and welcome back to the Social Recruiters. I'm Shannon Clement, and I'm here with my colleague Scott Ballum, and we run a company called the Social Recruiters. We work with both agencies and HR departments to help them recruit more qualified talent and amplify the recruitment process. Today, we are going to talk about automation. And it's a controversial topic for some people. It kind of, I guess, makes people feel like they're going to deal with robots, and it's the end of the world. In some cases, some other people embrace automation and they love it and they see the benefits. But maybe we can start with just what is automation, and what are sort of some facts and myths that we can address.
So automation, it can literally cover anything. We know that AI has grown so fast in the past 10 years that it's getting quite scary. Maybe not Skynet scary yet from Terminator, but it is getting a little bit scary. So as far as automation goes, especially with social media recruitment, we'll talk about the things that we're obviously confident in and we know that can help the recruitment process rather than hinder. As far as automation goes with social media and recruitment itself, there are a number of different tools. There are a number of different tools in recruitment process that you can use that go from everything from scheduling your work, chatbots and AI, through to emails and organic social media posting. They're the things we'll kind of cover in today's podcast. The important thing to remember is that automation doesn't have to be completely AI. It doesn't have to be a robot controlling everything. There has to be some human input, and that's really important to remember because you need the human element because we're dealing with humans in the process. So automation can have its limitations in that regard if people go too
And I
crazy.
think that's the myth that a lot of people think, oh my God, automation, like we're going to automate this thing and then it's going to send out all this garbage to our candidate pool. There's going to be misinformation. They're going to get the wrong thing. And because we can't control it, it's all controlled by AI.
That's
But
not the
there's a
case.
way, yeah, there's a way to structure it where you have the human intervention that sets it up, and there's parameters around things that all work together. But it's never just automation. It's always going to have to be a mixture of human intervention and automation combined.
It's funny because Shannon and I were just talking before we started the podcast about we haven't seen that many chatbots on a lot of recruiting agencies' websites, and I think it's kind of a loss there in a lot of ways because if you can have someone that's maybe a live chat where you can have it doesn't have to be 24/7, but if you have a live chat between business hours where it asks a couple of questions to navigate the user through the process. Okay, what industry are you looking at recruiting for? Are you an employer or an employee? What are you looking for? And then that goes through to a live chat person. We're actually talking to someone from the agency. That can really open up doors for both new business, but also from an employee to navigate to the right recruiter that can also help your talent pool process fill up quickly. So it's odd that we haven't seen that too often just yet. Maybe it's still a little bit new.
Well, I also think that a lot of people look at that and they think, oh my God, that's a pain. I have to hire someone full time to manage this chat thing. And what are they going to say? What if people ask questions that we can't answer right away? There's a lot of negative connotations that come out of that. But again, it's all about structure.
Yeah.
And there's so many different kinds of chatbots that you can use, from having like a live chat to having frequently asked questions
Hmm.
that pre-fill. And if someone asks a question that has enough information in it, you already have an answer for them
Or
that,
even sending them to a calendar just to
yeah.
to try and arrange a time where they can make the call. That's People have to think about this whether you're an employer or an agency. you're getting a communication line open with somebody that may not have actually converted by filling out a form or calling you. So it's understanding that this is a communication line that A may not have happened. So you're gaining that kind of engagement through a chatbot, which has its positives, but also the way that you structure the chatbot. It doesn't have to be AI driven completely. When we say AI driven chatbot, it's basically using what parameters you've set up in the back end to navigate that person through to the right person. And
Yeah.
that's the AI. I mean, you can go a lot more in depth. We don't necessarily, recommend that, but getting them to navigate through to a line of communication with somebody at your agency or your company.
The other automation tool that I think a lot of businesses shy away from is the SMS messaging.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone leaves their phone, and this can happen through a chat bot where you leave your name, your phone number, your email address, and then you'll get a text message once you leave your information in the chat bot. And that process can be automated saying,
Definitely.
hey, like we got your information. We're going to follow up with you in X amount of time. There'll be someone reaching out. Is this the right phone number for someone to call? Like all of these automations are there to simplify the process, making it a better process for the applicant, and also streamlining the workflow on the HR side so that, these little tasks that take up a lot of time with scheduling and, calling back people and whatnot, that back and forth, some of that can be decreased just by using some of these
That's
automations.
right. I mean, automation is created to free up time for more important tasks. That's the way you have to think about automation. I think that a lot of people are worried because they don't have the input. They don't think they have the control over it. What's being perceived when they're out there is the AI going to go rogue? It really is quite simple in the fact that if you can spend more time as an agency or as a HR or an employer doing the one-on-ones, if you can get one-on-one interview time, or if you can increase your talent pool and spend more time on the important things in making sure that you have the right people for the positions and navigating that process, that's where we start seeing profitability. And if you can scale that and you can start increasing the number of people that are coming through those avenues, whether it's through social media ads or organic, then you're actually increasing your overall ROI. So it really has to be looked at as, a lot of agencies we've dealt with that do a lot of their scheduling deal with offshore. They might use offshore telemarketers or phone companies to manage a lot of their traffic through traffic. Now that is another sort of automation, and for a long time, a lot of people there was a lot of stigma about using offshore. Is it
Mhm.
safe? Is it going to work? How's it being perceived? But you look at big companies like Google, for example. 80% of their customer service is offshore. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. There's a reason for it, so they can employ the right people to make sure that they get focused jobs in house in Google in Silicon Valley. So I think automation does have a place. It's about saving time. It's about improving workflow, as you said. So the question is, what can somebody in a recruitment position right now, or an agency or an employer, what can they do? What can they automate today?
Well, I think it's a system. So if you think of it as a whole and, you work with people that are experts in how the automations work and how to structure it, like us, because we do that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can really make that automation work for you. And every company, every department, every even person has maybe a slightly different style of how they want to interact with candidates and what that process looks like to them. So it's about mapping it out,
Yeah.
starting from the beginning, or even starting from the end. Look at the end result, those types of candidates that you want to get in, how many candidates you need, what are your projections for a certain amount of time, and then through that, see, okay, well, how do I make the system as effective as possible and streamline some of these processes so I can scale it and I can get even more people through with, and it's always the case where, there's less people. You want to do more with less,
Hmm.
right? So the automation is there to help you achieve that, but there has to be a structure. So part of that structure can be looking at, okay, how are people finding out about the jobs? So there's that awareness piece. Do they know your brand? Do they know what types of careers you have at your company? Are you promoting your employer brand and those careers in a way that people see your company as a company that they want to work for? So that's an important piece to nail. Once you have that awareness piece done, then it's a matter of getting people to the website, having them engage with your content, potentially retargeting them at some point with specific jobs or pieces of content that they've engaged with. You have campaigns around that. But then, from that, once they've actually gone to your page and they've either applied or they've provided their email address, some type of contact information, they may have done that even through a chatbot.
Mm-hmm.
So they may have not filled out an application per se, but maybe they've engaged with a chatbot on your site asking about different careers. So those people go into a pool, and then you can email them, you get them on a list, but it all has to be segmented. It has to be organized in a way where, people aren't everywhere and you don't know who's gone where and what they're interested in, and then you're retargeting them with stuff that they don't care about.
It's funny
So
because you mention
the
that in
segment,
itself, the segmenting itself can be automated.
yeah,
If you have someone that comes through a contact form on a specific job category page that might be construction or healthcare or whatever it may be, or tech, SaaS, that form in itself can have a special parameter in the back end that puts that person and segments them into their own mailing list. So those type of things right there are already cutting out that time that someone's sitting at a desk who's opening the email, reading it, and saying, okay, well, this person's construction, forwarding it to the construction person. You want to ensure that each form on the website is navigating through to the right recruiter or the right HR representative, and they can, do the work that they need to, and know in the back of their mind that that's already in the database.
well, that work, yeah, because that workflow needs to be in place so the right people are reaching out, and it's timely. So you're not waiting weeks on end to get back to someone who's engaged on the site. Like I remember with one of our clients, it was a pretty tight ship where we got them to, we did the retargeting ads and they were going to the site and lots of people were applying, but we had someone who was dedicated to following up
Yeah,
with those people that had filled out those applications. Like it was within a day that they were being followed up with.
yeah,
And we knew that, on average, okay, there's going to be probably 4 to 5 applicants per day that that person's going to need to follow up with.
mm.
So make sure that they have time dedicated to do that, and that is part of their job. Like those things need to be thought through so
Yeah. That's not
that
always the case in every.
experience.
Is it? It's not always the case in every one of the clients that we've worked with, having a dedicated person that's
No.
doing that outreach, because they are juggling so many other tasks that could be automated. And it's a tricky conversation for us to have with an agency where it's like, we can make you more time efficient if you look at time management from a different perspective. What can be automated? Having that, because, a lot of people still think that automation has a negative connotation. I do think that, if they can implement the schedule that they are planned to work from, whether it's working from the back or from the front, forward planning. So, what do you think from a what are 5 things that they could automate today or should consider to automate in the future?
Well, I mean, they can automate their attraction process through either social media, so social media advertising, doing organic social media
Mm-hmm.
posts. They can use a tool like Hootsuite or something like that to create a bunch of posts in advance,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're always going out and you're promoting your brand, you're promoting specific jobs. Um, then Google Ads, your any kind of advertising, you can automate that. And then making
Chatbot,
sure, pardon me?
the chatbot,
The chat bot.
the
So
AI.
once they get to the site, then you can automate different things from the site, from the chat bot following up to an SMS message that goes out, to a Calendly link for them to book a meeting with a representative. Um, so on the website, there's a ton of things that you can automate to take the pressure off someone following up right away. And there'll be like a message that candidate gets, that says we'll follow up with you on a certain date. And then from there, they go into an email list or a CRM, and they're in specific categories. You know how they've engaged with the site or the campaign that you've been running. So then you can take that list and then automate messaging out to them through either an email drip campaign, or even phone calls from a recruiter or HR representative, on a timely basis. So there's automations that can go through the whole system, but it's just a matter of knowing who's available, what works for that company,
Yeah,
and how to set it up.
yeah, I agree. I think that it really has to fit the the office. It has to fit the agency and the employer on how much automation they feel is necessary. And look, by no means are we saying that you should automate everything in your business. It's definitely not the right approach to think that you can have this on autopilot and be recruiting and not sit back on a beach. It does not happen. Uh,
No.
but you can focus on the things that are more important. And if it's brand, we keep talking about brand recognition and building brand identity. That may give you time to start building on the more personalized things where it's one-on-ones with your team or one-on-ones with the clients, and building more time and building better relationships in that process. The other thing to remember as well is that when you have an automation set up, it is not set and forget. We have to
No.
stress this
Never.
really importantly. It is not set and forget. You do need to check. You need to make sure that the automation is working how it's supposed to. You have to make sure that, say for example, with emails and your organic social media scheduling, make sure that it is working. Check on your social channels to make sure that those posts are going out live. Put yourself on the email list to ensure that those automated emails are going out on time, that they're sending from the right job category. And when it comes to SMS, obviously add your phone number in, find out those things, make sure that they are running. We've seen in the past, and this is a very scary thing about automation, if you do forget, certain clients have set things up where it's been sent out multiple times to the wrong channel. If you
Mm.
if you're advertising for a specific job category or an employer, make sure that that is on the right employer's social profiles. Don't be posting job listings for other.
Well, and if you are posting something that's based on a specific time period,
That's
and
right. Yeah.
things change in the economic climate, so we're talking about recessions, but
Mm,
maybe it's not a recession anymore. Maybe they've
that's
just
right.
declared we're out of a recession. Like make sure that whatever you're talking about makes sense for
Or
that.
even the salary salary changes for the year 2021 going out in 2022. It's little minor things that can, if that lands in the inbox, some people are just going to delete because they don't realize that that content is for the next period. So it's important to have your hands and eyes checking those things, make sure your automation is working right for you. But if you have any questions about automation or setting up automation, the social recruiters are always here, both Shannon and I and our team. If you have any questions on our podcasts or anything that we do have down the track, you can reach out through all of our social media links, as well as our contact information through our website and LinkedIn profiles. We're always active. We will do a live Q&A. We keep talking about it, but it will be coming up in the new year, in 2023. But I think we're going to wrap it up there. Shannon, do you have anything to close with?
Yeah, just two things. The takeaways are: do not set and forget your automations once you've got them set up. The second is ensure you always have a system, and that system reflects how you work internally. So once you have those two things nailed, you should have a fairly successful automation.
That's right. I think automation can work. My takeaway, just one, try it. Get out there and try automation, and you don't have to stress about it, but take a small approach. Get started yourself with your organization, see how you can make things work, and talk to your team and find out what they can do. What are they wasting time on? How can we improve their time management? That's going to wrap things up for our podcast this week, guys. Remember, all of our links are up, down, left, right. You can find us all across the web, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.